Hello guys, welcome. So right now I'm outside just enjoying the fresh air. It's a little bit cold. Looking at the world we have, the cars driving by, looking at the moon, which is almost full tonight, and as well as just today been meeting a lot of wonderful people, and I have been actually standing at the street corner and as well as going door to door talking about what's happening with today's world. Just like a person who is knocking on your door talking about Christ and soul winning, what I do is I knock on people's door and I stand on the street corner and I talk to people about the world we have today. I talk about the kind of laws that we have, the kind of laws that we're getting, the kind of things that we have in our food, the kind of things that are being put in our air, in our water. I talk about positive things as well, but the reason why I talk about the negative things is because not enough people are aware of the negative things that are happening to us in our lives. And right now we got politicians and corporations pushing a lot of negative things onto our lives. Now, if anyone knows what eugenics is, you're going to understand that it's basically rooting out the weak from what a specific group considers to be strong. And if you actually study eugenics well and actually look at the people pushing it, those people are not really stronger or any better than the culture that they're pushing out. In reality, what they're doing is just being greedy, being stupid. Like their reasons for pushing the other culture out is basically just based off hatred. But today, our science and our countries, especially English-speaking countries, the ones who invented eugenics, and then, we pretended to fight Hitler and, try to bring him down and, pretend that we were against someone who is trying to remove inferior people from a country. Yet that's what we're doing right now in Canada, the United States, England, Australia. We've been doing it since before Hitler, way after Hitler, before World War I, basically before the American Civil War. You know what I'm saying? Eugenics has always been in English-speaking countries. That's why English-speaking countries, instead of doing what the French and the Spanish did, and that's by trying to mix with the cultures that they were conquering or they were invading, what the English do, not the English people, but what the English leadership does, is that it believes in removing and cleansing the people off the land. You see, and that's what we went to war with Hitler for. And that's what communism was doing, but we never touched communism, especially when communism was committing its biggest genocides, basically committing eugenics, racial cleansing, religious cleansing. We didn't say anything about communism when it was doing that, but when Hitler did it, we had a problem. Why? Because Hitler wanted to install what we in the English-speaking countries wanted to install, and that's a world power which basically uses eugenics. But the thing is that England's in control of it, not Britain. But not only England, all the English-speaking countries. If you look at the United States splitting and all the revolutions, all the wars that we fought before World War I, like after like the musket ages, like when Napoleon came and, just the musket ages when we fought with cannonball and musket and bayonet, and the revolutions, nationalism and all that. Nationalism, I could see it being, this is theory right here, conspiracy theory, out of all the other stuff that is actually pretty accurate if you begin to study it. The United States, England, and Australia, and all those countries basically splitting up, I would say in a way it's a strategy, because it gets other empires and other regions in those empires wanting to split up. But secretly, the leadership of those countries work together. If you look at Spain, England does nothing but make negative hit pieces on Spain. Every time it makes propaganda against France, Spain, Germany, any other country that had past empires, it always makes negative propaganda saying that these people are genocidal, that these people were trying to kill in what they considered inferiors, without ever mentioning who invented eugenics and where eugenics was truly practiced and who in reality was actually cleansing people of First Nations in Africa and Australia and, yes, America. If you look at the Spanish and the French, they actually mixed with the cultures. They didn't believe in eugenics. They believed a way in being superior, but I think it was because of the technology that they had. When it came to genetics, yeah, in a way there was racism. There was, I'm on top, especially cultures that have not really been mixed with other cultures are going to have a little bit of racism. But still, they mixed their own people and their own culture with the Native Americans all over America. And that's why you got the Métis, that's why you got Latino Americans. And if you go to Latin America, you know, the Spanish who supposedly genocided all the natives, who's the people in charge of their own countries? It's the descendants of the natives that are basically presidents, doctors, and are doing way better than First Nations people right now in the United States and Canada, and the Aboriginals in Australia. If you actually look at those people that are First Nations in the English-speaking countries, they live in ghettos, they're put on reservations. It's like the government to this day still cleanses them and destroys them and makes basically bad media against them. The gangs affect them for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Crime is always revolving over First Nations people. And instead of the government saying, see, look at First Nations people and how bad they are, it's more people themselves who kind of develop that racism and that prejudice and that fear towards First Nations people. So the government doesn't even have to make media against it. It's basically just what the people see alone. So all a group has to do is just target the people, destroy their culture, make them look bad against more successful people, and basically the image will paint itself. You know what I'm saying? So when you want to talk about eugenics and racial cleansing and who in reality are tyrannical people in this world trying to take down people, yes, we've had a lot of that with German leaders and Dutch leaders and Spanish leaders and French leaders. I'm just talking about Europe alone. Not to mention Genghis Khan and what the Turks did and what the Timurids did, what the Chinese did, yeah, I mentioned what communism did, and that's in the East. Yeah, they're a little bit European, but it's still in the East. So you're seeing that I'm not just talking about Europeans. I'm not just trying to target Europeans or one specific culture. Every culture has done it. Native Americans had their own way of racial cleansing and killing the other tribe and enslaving them. All natives did that. All cultures have done that. But the way that the English countries are doing it is they're trying to do it secretly while pretending to be against it. And that's one thing that cultures never did before. Like, they were always pretty open that they wanted that culture or those people gone or subjected. The English, that's kind of what makes it bad. They don't even give the enemy a chance to fight because the enemy wants to trust these people. They want to let these people in their lives. But when these people get into their lives, they destroy them. And once again, when I speak about English-speaking culture, I'm not talking about... Sorry, when I'm talking about the people who are doing this in the English-speaking culture, I'm not talking about the English people. Like people who speak English just like me, or just like you, or the person watching this video wanting to learn about this stuff. I'm talking about the people who fully know that they're doing this stuff